You've said before that aligning your thoughts, words, and actions is really important to you. And I think it should be important to every human being who ever lives. But we don't always do that. One, why don't our thoughts, words, and actions align always? And two, how do we get better at that skill?
I can't speak for other people, but for me, just has to do with judgment. I think there's two levels, which is I might think something and I don't want to say it because I am fearful of what other people will think, right? And I'm afraid of them judging me. And at the same time, I think it's sometimes we judge ourselves for the things that we say, even. So I think there's two levels that you have to kind of think through. And I mean, judge as in, I think what would more closely articulate what I'm trying to say is shame, which is we don't want to say the things that we think because we're ashamed that we even think it. And for me, I've just personally found that every time I'm able to share something, say something, talk about something that I'm worried what people are going to say or think. And I'm also kind of ashamed to talk about, like even like getting arrested 6 times. I didn't share that much until a few months ago because I'm not proud of it. You know what I mean? But I think that what I've realized is that has been where I've been able to find my confidence in showing up for people, both on social media and within my company. I feel so much more at ease than I ever have because I don't hide anything. And it's not like, I think we don't intentionally hide things, but we can just leave things out, right? And instead, I think I've looked at more opportunities like, where can I share this? Because if I share these things, it no longer has power over me. And I think that a lot of the times, the reason people can't align what they think with what they say, with what they do, is because they're so terrified of maybe the things they did and having to share what those things were and how are people going to react. And on the other side, they're afraid of sharing the things they think because what if people think that they're, I don't know, ridiculous or stupid or whatever. And I think if you can, on the other end of it, if you do something and you're afraid to share what you did, you should absolutely own what you did because you take away anybody else's power to control that narrative. Like when I got my nose and brows done, I knew before I went in 6 months up to it, I had so much anxiety because I was like, crap, I'm like on camera now. Like, this isn't like when I got my boobs done when I was 20 and nobody barely knew besides like the guy at the gym that's like, we all know, girl. Now it's like thousands and hundreds of thousands of people being like, holy F, your face. And I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? And it was like the moment I asked myself that, I was like, oh, I'm going to absolutely own this 100%. Because I know plenty of people who get that kind of stuff done. And then they just like, slowly link it in. And then people are like, yo, you didn't say anything about the, like fact that your face is completely different. And people are like, this is a little awkward for us, but it's okay. Maybe she doesn't want to talk about it. And I'm just like, dude, I just never want to be that person. Like, I just don't, that looks awful. Having to lead a life where like you're ashamed of your actions. And I think that the shame comes from not talking about the actions. I don't even think that anything inherently is shameful or not shameful. I think it's that we have this preconceived notion that it is or isn't, and then we hide it. And then that compounds the shame and we feel worse and worse. So I think from an action standpoint, I look at it like I gain my power back by talking about the things that I have done or haven't done. And then from a thought to speaking, if you're thinking about it that way of like, I'm thinking something and I'm going to say it, I think that one is just the fear of judgment. I think if we use the same situation, people are like, what are you going to say when, my friends are like, what are you going to say when you share like what you did with are you going to tell them that, like you were insecure and like it was, and I was like, no, I'm going to tell them the truth, which is like, I have money and I found a good doctor and I think I would look way better with a different nose. And you know what, if they want to say that is conceited or it sounds terrible to say out loud or anything, that's fine. But I'm not going to lie and say I was some insecure little girl who was scared about her nose. Like, I never felt that way. I just was like, if I can make something look better and the money doesn't matter to me, then I'm gonna do it. And so I think from both of those directions, that is where I've found so much, I guess you could say, confidence. It's like, I just don't feel like I have anything to hide. And I wish that for everybody, because I think that most people go around, especially nowadays with social media, walking around with something to hide. And I feel like we just need more people that actually speak freely and think freely.
Yeah. And that comes from having peace of knowing that you've put everything out there that needs to be out there. If you enjoyed this clip, watch the full episode right over here, and don't forget to subscribe.